It's an icon for South Florida.
The Cape Florida Lighthouse.
It's a symbol of the city of Miami.
An often overlooked gem in Key Biscayne.
When we moved here, I didn't even know there was a lighthouse on Key Biscayne.
It's a secret little hideaway.
The lighthouse is the oldest building in the city of Miami.
It's the symbol of Key Biscayne. It's the anchor.
Teaching us 200 years of history.
People have been using this area for a long time, even before the lighthouse was constructed.
This was a very direct route to freedom.
And showing off an incredible perspective.
It's a 360 view of awesomeness.
From 95 feet in the air.
Once you get up there, the views are spectacular.
To have that in your backyard is just a true treasure.
Join us now as we celebrate the Cape Florida Lighthouse at 200.
This presentation is sponsored by FPL. At FPL, we leverage a diverse mix of energy sources to power our growing state. FPL, working for you every single day.
Hello, everybody. I'm Louis Aguirre, and I'm standing at the top of the lighthouse at the end of Bill Bagg's Cape Florida State Park in Key Biscayne. The lighthouse is the oldest standing historic structure in Miami-Dade County. And this year, the lighthouse is celebrating its bicentennial. At 200 years old, it's one of Florida's oldest surviving lighthouses, and it's still functional. There are major efforts underway to preserve the lighthouse and its incredible past. But first, a little bit more about this beautiful landmark. It's called the Cape Florida Lighthouse, but it's also known by another name, El Farito.
El Farito stands as kind of a second name for the lighthouse. It's a beacon, it's a signal to kind of bring you home safely. For a lot of people, El Farito is synonymous with the lighthouse, and the lighthouse is synonymous with a coming home symbol and signal.
Christina Bracken is the president of the Friends of Cape Florida. The group is celebrating its 25th anniversary, raising money and visibility for the lighthouse.
My wish for the lighthouse is to inspire people to really care about where they're from, their history, get engaged in how they can enrich the places that we preserve for them.
I have a secret. I've never been up to the top of the lighthouse. Never.
Well, we can remedy that.
Can you?
Yes.
I'd like to go up. You gonna take me on a tour?
I will take you on a tour.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right, let's do the tour.
There's some muscle for that door.
Yeah, being a lighthouse keeper is not an easy job.
No. Wow, how many steps are there?
109 plus 8. Let's
109 plus 8. I'm gonna get my steps in. You ready? Let's do it.
All right.
Wow, look at this view.
Pretty amazing, right?
Yeah.
A breathtaking view, many years in the making. The Cape Florida Lighthouse was first built in 1825. It has survived erosion, hurricanes, and attack by the Seminoles, and that's not all.
This island was very, very popular with pirates, including black pirates. This was an ideal place for pirates to hunt, rest up, fresh water. This place has been a convenient place for a lot of illegal activity for a long time. Escaped slaves, pirates, bootlegging. Key Biscayne has had it all.
Before the lighthouse was built, shipwrecks were common in the area. And lots of people took advantage of that.
Everyone looted. I even know that there were wreckers, right? There were white settlers who used to, on purpose, turn those lighthouses off and then take everything that ended up coming off those ships.
Then, in 1821, the United States acquired Florida from Spain.
When the first English-speaking people arrived at Key Biscayne, they found Seminoles living out here, black Seminoles, escaped slaves.
The Seminoles lived here, you know, in harmony with the land, and a lot of different indigenous peoples lived here through thousands of years. And as white settlers arrived, they were pushed deeper and deeper, right into the Everglades and into other spaces.
The U.S. military forced the Seminoles to relocate west of the Mississippi on the Trail of Tears. The U.S. also constructed the lighthouse, building it 65 feet tall.
In 1836, the lighthouse was attacked by a number of Seminole peoples. After many other violent acts had occurred to them, and they understood that this lighthouse wasn't just a symbol, right? It was this functional symbol that was allowing other boats that could bring more violence to them.
The lighthouse was only 11 years old at the time.
The lighthouse attack, I think, was one statement of resistance. This is as far as we're going to go. Make us leave. The lighthouse keeper, a white man, and an enslaved man, who was described as his assistant, were focal point of that attack.
The two men escaped up the stairs of the lighthouse, while Seminoles set fire to the structure.
The enslaved man was killed, and he's buried here on Key Biscayne near the lighthouse.
The lightkeeper survived. It took more than 9 years to rebuild the lighthouse and construct a new U.S. Army base to prevent future attacks.
When you look at the history of Florida over the last 300 years, it is a story of Black and Indigenous resistance and resilience.
The area where the lighthouse now stands was also known as being part of the Saltwater Underground Railroad.
The people who used the Saltwater Railroad were basically men who left their families to find freedom.
Instead of heading north, using the Underground Railroad to find freedom in Canada, enslaved people from Georgia and South Carolina walked south to Florida.
This was a major jump-off point to get to freedom in the Bahamas, Key Biscayne, and it was well used over the decades.
The enslaved men set sail for the British Bahamas, where they could live their lives freely.
We will never know how many people found freedom through the Saltwater Railroad. People didn't check out when they left, they just left. Many of the folks who left from here went straight to Red Bays, and many of those folks were Black Seminoles. And that community still exists today.
Coming up, preserving history. The renovation work that's being done to preserve these incredible views. We'll go up all 117 steps to the very top.
I am legit breathtaking by this.
Plus, the environmental risks that could jeopardize all that work.
It's so shocking to me to see how close this site actually is to the water.
The Cape Florida Lighthouse at 200 returns in a moment. Cape Florida Lighthouse, sitting on the end of Miami's Key Biscayne, has been a beacon for 200 years.
I'm standing here in front of it, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, take that in.
Yeah,
it's beautiful, isn't it?
It's fabulous. I mean, it is the best spot. To live here and to have that in your backyard is just a true treasure.
In order to keep that treasure in working order, the group, the Friends of Cape Florida, fundraises and organizes restoration projects.
Here we go, I'm excited.
All right, let's go. Let's take the tour.
President Christina Brackett took me on a tour of the lighthouse to show off some of those renovations.
I come here as often as I can.
First, we have to climb up 109 steps to reach stop number 1.
Watch your head here.
The balcony.
Oh, wow. Look at this.
This is where the magic happens.
That's the great word. It's magical. Look at this view. You can see forever.
This is the view that the lighthouse keepers had in 1825 when they first lit the tower on December 17th.
And then 8 more steps to the lantern room.
My goodness, look at this view. Wow. It's a 360.
It's a 360 view of awesomeness. Yes.
This is awesome. That word gets used a lot, but this is awesome. Wow.
So I think there's very few lighthouses, definitely in Florida, but probably in the world, where you can actually go into the lantern room and have this kind of 360 view and have it this accessible.
This is spectacular.
The lighthouse is a functional navigational aid, blinking every 6 seconds from dusk to dawn, which is why replacing the windows here was so important.
When the tower was renovated in 1996, they used plexiglass for the 96 panels up in the cupola, and over the last 30 years, the sun and weather and exposure to salt and wind dulled those panels, so you could not actually see out of the cupola anymore.
It took 2.5 months to replace all 96 panels with real glass and to make sure everything was historically accurate.
What was the challenge? I would imagine carrying those panes of glass up these stairs was not an easy job.
Believe me, those guys are fit guys.
That wasn't the only challenge, though.
Each of these panes of glass, they're different sizes.
Correct. Very well observed. So each of these panes is actually slightly different from the next one. So fitting them was quite a challenge. So when we started taking 3 panes out, 1 from each level, and measuring them and having them reproduced by the glass company, and then take these 3 and find out how many of them will actually fit and how many have to be custom made to a specific size. On some of them, they were able to file down some of the frames to fit if it was just a few millimeters. Quite a few of them had to be reordered in order to fit properly.
These spectacular views help draw almost 1 million visitors each year to Bill Baggs Cape Florida State Park.
It was narrow and tall, but it was super fun. It was kind of cool. It felt like walking up history a little bit.
It's a really cool lighthouse. I remember as a kid, it was kind of just falling apart, and they've really done a good job to keep it going. Exciting that it's turning 200, and it's definitely a South Florida icon.
It was a great cardiac workout for the grandma of the bunch.
I like to think of them all as lighthouse ambassadors, and I like to think that whether it's Key Biscayneers or people from Miami-Dade or from Florida or from the US or all over the world, that they all go back out and talk about the lighthouse and spread the news about how amazing it is and what great memories they made and the beautiful views that they had from the top of it.
Still ahead, along with preserving the past, there's a push to protect the future of the lighthouse.
The community needs to work together to save this lighthouse.
History is in jeopardy as Cape Florida Light faces major environmental threats.
Climate change is here. You can look at the lighthouse and the water seeping around the lighthouse as evidence of that.
What's being done to preserve the past? And later, more of those awe-inspiring views. The Cape Florida Lighthouse at 200 returns in a moment. The future of Cape Florida Light relies heavily on planning today for tomorrow.
I am legit breathtaking by this.
The view from the balcony of the lighthouse is incredible.
Any given day, you can probably see pelicans, dolphins, manatees. We have raccoons and some non-natives, like some of our iguanas and whatnot. There's a lot of wildlife. Egrets, turtles here, herons.
Yet it's those same waters that are jeopardizing the future of the lighthouse.
It's so shocking to me to see how close this site actually is to the water.
Sarah Ayers-Rigsby works for the Florida Public Archaeology Network.
Our mission is to promote and facilitate stewardship and public appreciation of Florida's archaeological heritage.
She says climate change, rising sea levels, and coastal erosion are already impacting the lighthouse.
Not just from our major weather events, but we also see even just sunny day flooding and king tides. The big concern with saltwater is at the base of the lighthouse, the staircase, some of the foundation, the paint on the exterior of the lighthouse.
Sea level rise is happening. We're watching it.
Meryl Shriver-Rice is the director of the Coastal Heritage At-Risk Task Force.
We've really seen the shoreline disappear here, and the lighthouse used to be further from the water, and now the water's right up against the lighthouse.
She's also worried about the lighthouse and its history.
The lighthouse is a symbol of the city of Miami. It's the oldest building here, but the lighthouse also is a part of many other histories that are important to tell.
Bill Baggs Cape Florida State Park is home to more than a dozen archaeological sites, and I got a chance to see some artifacts.
We find this refuse in middens.
History that could disappear forever if the water takes over. How important is it that we preserve artifacts like this?
So something like a broken piece of pottery, you might see this and think, oh, this isn't that important and we won't learn anything, but we're learning how people are trading and how people are interacting with one another.
So what does this mean to you personally to know that this is at risk?
So sad, you spend your whole life trying to document these sites, trying to save these sites, trying to learn what we can from the sites, and in archaeology we have an ethos about preserving sites for future generations.
But Sarah says there's hope.
We can't assume that someone else is going to fix it or do it, and we have to be reliant on ourselves again to work together to build a resilient future.
Still ahead.
It's pretty magical, right? You are up on the lighthouse, you're much closer to the stars.
When the sun sets and the full moon rises.
The nostalgia of being even close to the lighthouse, on a beach, at a party, is nothing that you'll see in Miami.
Some of the special events you can enjoy. The Cape Florida Lighthouse at 200. We'll be right back. The nonprofit Friends of Cape Florida has been leading the efforts to celebrate the 200th anniversary of the Cape Florida Lighthouse. And it continues to discover new ways to enjoy the park and the lighthouse.
We do after-hour tours. You enjoy a sunset tour from the lighthouse. We do stargazing. We have music in the park events. There's a lot of ways to experience the park. Our fundraisers are aimed to support the programming that we do in the park. School tours, for example, education, the awareness-raising campaigns, and the activities that we offer here are supported by our fundraising.
But the big lighthouse fundraiser is the Full Moon Party. Once a year, ticket holders get to eat, drink, and dance all around the lighthouse, up close and under the light of the moon.
The nostalgia of being even close to the lighthouse, on a beach, at a party, is nothing that you'll see in Miami. It's a secret little hideaway, and I couldn't be more happy to be here.
This is a lovely party, and we're having a great time.
It's a beautiful event, very special, very unique, under the full moon, under the stars, everyone dancing.
All these experiences generate more money for the lighthouse.
It would not be possible without you.
The moon is out and the stars are out. What is that like?
It's pretty magical, right? You are up on the lighthouse.
Look at Miami.
You're much closer to the stars. You're much closer to the moon. You can kind of grab it. The water is glistening. It's just magical. I mean, there's very few places where you can actually do that. Let's face it, right? It's just super special. You can't say it in any other way. It's super special.
Is there an energy here? Are we on hallowed ground, do you believe?
I think we're definitely on hallowed ground.
The bicentennial celebrations will continue throughout the year here at the Lighthouse. We hope we've been able to shine a light on the past, present, and future of this historic landmark. At the base of the Lighthouse in Bill Baggs, Cape Florida State Park, at the tip of Key Biscayne, I'm Louis Aguirre. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for watching Cape Florida Lighthouse at 200, sponsored by FPL. At FPL, we leverage a diverse mix of energy sources to power our growing state. FPL, working for you every single day.